boys and girls. Today we are going to be talking about the digestive and nervous systems of the body. So, as I'm sure that you all remember, our bodies are organized in several levels. The smallest unit of life, or the building block of life, is the cell. And then remember that when cells cluster together, a group of cells forms a tissue. And tissues group together to form organs. Several tissue types that carry out a specific function are called an organ. And then, as we've been learning, different organs that work together to perform a certain job throughout our body is called an organ system. So, like our skeletal system, all of our cells within and all of the bones within the skeletal system work together to provide structure and support for our bodies. The respiratory system, our lungs, they help in our mouth or our nose. They help to provide oxygen to our body. So again, our organs work together, and today we're going to be talking about the digestive system, and it has the most organs that work together to perform a certain function, and that is what we're going to talk about first today. But before we do that, let's go ahead and cover some of the human body systems or review some of the human body systems that we've already talked about. That way, by the end of the week, we should be able to identify the relationship between major systems of the human body and their functions necessary for life. So the first step in being able to answer that question, what is the relationship between the major systems of the human body and their function necessary for life? We first got to know the functions of each of the systems. So again, that's why we're going through them two at a time. And as we've learned, our skeletal system is mostly consistent of our bones, and the most important bones that protect our most vital organs are the skull, spine, and ribs. But the skeletal system provides structure and support, and it supports the body, and it protects the internal organs. And it also produces or makes red blood cells. The muscular system helps our body move, and it consists of voluntary and involuntary muscles. Our respiratory system, it helps to supply oxygen to all parts of the body. When we breathe, we inhale oxygen and we exhale carbon dioxide. So that consists of the nose, mouth, trachea, lungs. And then our circulatory system, that's our blood, and that transports nutrients and oxygen throughout our whole body. And today we're going to learn more about how the circulatory system picks up the nutrients and carries it throughout our bodies. And the important parts of the system are the blood, vein, arteries, capillaries, and heart. Today, again, we're going to be talking about the digestive and nervous systems. So, first, we are going to talk about the function of the digestive system. What is the function of the digestive system? Alright, so we're going to start out with a video here to explain to us what is the function of the digestive system, and it's also going to identify the parts of the digestive system.
Across the whole planet, humans eat on average between 1 and 2.7 kilograms of food a day. That's over 365 kilograms a year per person, and more than 28,800 kilograms over the course of a lifetime. And every last scrap makes its way through the digestive system. Comprised of 10 organs, covering 9 meters, and containing over 20 specialized cell types, this is one of the most diverse and complicated systems in the human body. Its parts continuously work in unison to fulfill a singular task, transforming the raw materials of your food into the nutrients and energy that keep you alive. Spanning the entire length of your torso, the digestive system has 4 main components. First, there's the gastrointestinal tract. a twisting channel that transports your food and has an internal surface area of between 30 and 40 square meters, enough to cover half a badminton court. Second, there's the pancreas, gallbladder, and liver, a trio of organs that break down food using an array of special juices. Third, the body's enzymes, hormones, nerves, and blood all work together to break down food, modulate the digestive process, and deliver its final products. Finally, there's the mesentery, a large stretch of tissue that supports and positions all your digestive organs in the abdomen, enabling them to do their jobs. The digestive process begins before food even hits your tongue. Anticipating a tasty morsel, glands in your mouth start to pump out saliva. We produce about 1.5 liters of this liquid each day. Once inside your mouth, chewing combines with the sloshing saliva to turn food into a moist lump called the bolus. Enzymes present in the saliva break down any starch. Then your food finds itself at the rim of a 25-centimeter long tube called the esophagus, down which it must plunge to reach the stomach. Nerves in the surrounding esophageal tissue sense the bolus's presence and trigger peristalsis, a series of defined muscular contractions. That propels the food into the stomach, where it's left at the mercy of the muscular stomach walls, which pound the bolus, breaking it into chunks. Hormones secreted by cells in the lining trigger the release of acids and enzyme-rich juices from the stomach wall that start to dissolve the food and break down its proteins. These hormones also alert the pancreas, liver, and gallbladder to produce digestive juices and transfer bile, a yellowish-green liquid that digests fat, in preparation for the next stage. After 3 hours inside the stomach, the once shapely bolus is now a frothy liquid called chyme, and it's ready to move into the small intestine. The liver sends bile to the gallbladder, which secretes it into the first portion of the small intestine, called the duodenum. Here, it dissolves the fats floating in the slurry of chyme so they can be easily digested by the pancreatic and intestinal juices that have leached onto the scene. These enzyme-rich juices break the fat molecules down into fatty acids and glycerol for easier absorption into the body. The enzymes also carry out the final deconstruction of proteins into amino acids and carbohydrates into glucose. This happens in the small intestine's lower regions, the jejunum and ileum, which are coated in millions of tiny projections called villi. These create a huge surface area to maximize molecule absorption and transference into the bloodstream. The blood takes them on the final leg of their journey to feed the body's organs and tissues. But it's not over quite yet. Leftover fiber, water, and dead cells sloughed off during digestion make it into the large intestine, also known as the colon. The body drains out most of the remaining fluid through the intestinal wall. What's left is a soft mass called stool. The colon squeezes this byproduct into a pouch called the rectum, where nerves sense it expanding and tell the body when it's time to expel the waste. The byproducts of digestion exit through the anus, and the food's long journey, typically lasting between 30 and 40 hours, is finally complete. TED-Ed is a nonprofit. If you value our work...
All right, guys. So that is the journey through the digestive system. I really hope that all that big terminology didn't distract you too much, and that you basically got that our food starts out in our mouth, and the saliva breaks it down. It travels down the esophagus into our stomach. From the stomach, it goes to our small intestines and large intestines, and the really important work happens in the small intestines, where the little villi, they pick up all the nutrients that is leached out of your food from the breaking down processes in the stomach. The villi pick up the glucose and the nutrients, and that is where your nutrients travels into your blood, and that way your blood can carry it throughout the rest of your body. So here are the major organs and their functions. These are the things that were talked about in the video. And also, the purpose of the digestive system is to convert food particles into simpler molecules that can be absorbed into the bloodstream and used by the body for energy. So that is the most important part of the digestive system. It is to take out what we can use, put it into our bloodstream, and then get rid of whatever else is left over. So I'm going to give you guys just a minute to look at those. Okay, and again, we've got our small intestine here, and that's where nutrients are absorbed into the bloodstream, okay, from the villi. All right, so here's another diagram of your digestive system, and we are going to take a journey through the digestive system together. All right. Digestion. How does your body digest different foods? Let's see. I love apples. I'm sure many of you have noticed me eating apples in class. Let's see what happens when I eat an apple in class. So, first, the apple goes into my mouth and the teeth work hard to chop the apple into small pieces. Yum, 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 yum. Saliva is produced just like it talked about in the video. This contains an enzyme which starts to break down the starch particles in the apple. Mucus in the saliva helps the small pieces slip down the gullet. Down the esophagus we go and into the stomach. Let's see what's happening in the stomach. The stomach's digestive juices are mixed with the food. It's sloshed all around. The muscle at the end of the stomach relaxes to let the food through the duodenum. Once in the duodenum, enzymes in the duodenum complete the breakdown of starch into sugar particles. There are no protein or fat particles in an apple. Now we're in the ileum, and this is the top of your small intestine. And in the ileum, sugars are in particles small enough to be absorbed. Together with vitamins and minerals, they are absorbed into the bloodstream by small finger-like extensions called villi. What's left behind is undigested waste, largely made up of roughage and water. Now we're headed to the large intestine in the colon. A liquid of undigested waste arrives in the colon. As it travels through the colon towards the rectum, oh no! There we go. Most of the water is absorbed. Bloop, 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 bloop. Bum, bum, bum. What happens next, guys? Bum, bum, bum. What remains of the apple is an indigestible solid waste, which is stored in the rectum and is expelled through the anus. And that's when you go flush your toilet, and you can start the whole process all over again if you would like. Alright, so I only had time to go through the apple with you guys, but this is going to be linked into the presentation that I'm going to share with you today. If you would like to see how some of the other foods break down as you eat them, and the nutrients or sugar that is involved in each of these foods, you can definitely go back in and try this activity out yourself. It's going to be linked right here in the presentation. All right, so in your charts, I need you to pause the video and you're going to write the function of the digestive system and the parts of the system. Or you can wait until the end and copy it down after you have the digestive and the nervous system. All right, guys. So now it's time to talk about the nervous system. So, what is the function of the nervous system? We are going to watch this video, and hopefully, we will walk away with a better understanding of the function of the nervous system after the video, and then we'll talk about it just a little bit.
Today we're going to talk about the nervous system, and while I explain to you, you'll write down notes in your folders. But before, I want you to think, how do your bodies interpret the information that I'm giving you and that you'll write afterward? The information about what we listen and watch reaches our brain, and it sends the order to our hands so that we can write that information in our folders. Very good. That is, there are organs called sensory organs, which receive that information and send it to the brain, which, in turn, processes it to produce a voluntary movement, that is, a motor response. The sensory signal must travel from the sensory organs to the brain, and from it, the response travels to the motor muscles. This whole set of sensory organs, nervous pathways, and processing centers is called nervous system. However, not all muscles are moved consciously. Can any of you think of a muscle that cannot be controlled consciously? The heart? Right. The heart is controlled unconsciously, the same as the muscles of the internal organs and the glands. So, the nervous system, together with the endocrine system, is the one in charge of regulating and coordinating all the functions of the organism, whether voluntary or not. It starts receiving the information to then elaborate a response and to produce an effect. In order to study it, it has been divided into central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system is made up by the brain and the spinal. What is the brain? It's the portion of the nervous system that is enclosed into the skull. There we can find the brain, the cerebellum, and other organs and glands. On the other hand, the peripheral nervous system consists of nerves that go in and out of the central nervous system. When these nerves carry information into the central nervous system, they are called sensory nerves, as the information comes from the senses. But if they send information from the central nervous system to the organs, they are called motor nerves. They produce some kind of movement that may be voluntary, also called somatic, or involuntary, known as automatic. It smells deliciously. What are you cooking? Pasta with sauce. It's mouth-watering. Okay, tell your mouth to be patient because it's not ready yet. I may tell it, but I don't think it will listen to me because my saliva is involuntary. It depends on the autonomic nerves. All right, autonomic. Put your voluntary muscle to work and help me set the table. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and answer the question. You can also click the link.
All right, guys. So the function of the nervous system is to sense what is going on around us and help us process those senses and send messages to our brain in order to react. So if we touch something hot, then a message will be sent to our brain to tell us to move our hand away from the hot object. So, the purpose of the nervous system is to coordinate the body's response to changes in its internal and external environment. So, the brain, spinal cord, and the nerves are the most important organs in the nervous system. The brain is the control center of the body, and that's where all processes are relayed through. So, everything goes to your brain before a signal is sent out that requires either an involuntary or a voluntary response. The spinal cord sends instructions from the brain to the rest of the body and vice versa. So from the brain to the rest of the body and from the rest of the body to the brain. Like you touch something hot. A message is sent from your hand to the brain. The brain tells you to move your hand away. And you guys realize just how fast those synapses take place. As soon as you touch something hot, you immediately jerk your hand away. Your nerves conduct impulses to muscle cells throughout the body. So your nerves are what send those messages to your muscles that tell you to move your hand. So the function of the nervous system is to receive information and to respond to that information. And the body receives information through 5 senses, and those are called a stimulus. So your 5 senses are touch, smell, sight, taste, and hearing. And when maybe you smell something that smells really good, your favorite food, then your mouth, like in the video, it starts to water. That's an involuntary response to that smell and your body remembering how good that food tastes, and it results in a change, which is your mouth watering. All right, so neurons are the cells of the nervous system. They carry messages throughout the body in the form of an electrical signal. So your nervous system, it pretty much is your communication system from the brain to the rest of your body. And that's pretty much what your neurons look like. They look like a telephone receiver with the cord and then the handpiece of the telephone. So remember that your nervous system carries messages through the body in the form of an electrical signal. All right, so here is your completed chart. In Google Classroom today, your only assignment is going to be to take a picture of a completed Systems of the Body's chart in your notebook. If you decide to figure out a way to print this, or if you've been writing along your notes the whole time, I just need to see a completed picture in your notebooks for your assignment for today. And as of today, we have covered all of the systems of the body. So after today, we're going to start talking about how they are connected. And we talked a little bit today about how your nervous system is connected to your digestive system with your mouth watering, how the digestive system is related to the circulatory system through your nutrients being sucked up by the villi in your small intestine. Again, please get this chart into your notebooks, and I will be checking those on Google Classroom today. Just upload a photo of the completed notebook page into Google Classroom. Thanks, guys. I hope you have a great day.